And then the music said,
You may not find us on your TV, because in case you did not know, we're being brought to you by
OTR.
Brought to you by
27.085 megahertz.
Brought to you by RADI.
The Old Tube Radio Network.
Are they still doing this Old Tube Radio Network thing here on Channel 11, 27085, the Central Valley of California, all those areas, streaming at oldtuberadio.net with video supplied by somebody somewhere? Is that still happening here in 2024, January, what is the day, the 20th? I think it is. So if it is, I welcome you, the Old Tube Radio Network welcome you to participate by one, just listening in, by two, heading over to your Tube Radio collection, wherever it might be within the sound of the Old Tube Radio Network here on Channel 11, and at the appropriate time saying break OTR and checking in your radio. Tell us about it, what you got, and we'll mark it on the list. If you'd like to say hello radio, stop by and do that. We have a directed net roll call of the shortwave listeners, but of course, this is not a club, just a voluntary association of people who are interested in tube radio. So anybody is welcome to join in. And I'm asking, why is the microphone is way up in the sky tonight? It's way up here. Is that going to work? Okay, yeah. Seems like it works. You know, it gives me more room to do stuff down here, so we'll see what happens. I won't be hopefully banging into it. First off, what do we have to do? Oh, I'm going to see if there are any early check-ins to get people on their way. They've got places to be and people to see. Anybody needs to check in now, tell me about it. Over.
24, checking in.
24, hello Joseph. I've got the X in the square here for, January 20th, sounding good.
77.
And 77, there was a TV show, I think it was, about the time that a lot of these tube radios were coming out, called the 77 Sunset Strip. So I will get to 77 checked in. Over.
Oh, that's cool. And I'll make the radio check-in. I just got to make a phone call.
All right, yeah, you don't have to be around any time when it... before the tube stops glowing somewhere around 10 o'clock, we will get you online. I'm going to pop up the REA meter to make sure that my output looks pretty good. I'm going to pop up the orb band meter to see that we have some level above or below full scale that looks good. I'm going to go to the control room and make sure we're back into the seersucker suit. The pocket protector is ready to go. It looks like most of the audio gear is functioning correctly. There was a couple of early check-ins over on the video side, SWL 64. I will make sure that Craig is checked in, and there were some other ones as well, and I will get you any other early check-ins here locally. Over.
56, places to go, people to see.
All right. Hopefully they're not those really tiny people, but if they are, you'll know what to do. So thank you, Grandpa. I've got you checked in. Who was the other station?
SWL 79.
And SWL 79. I heard you giving out points on the other frequency, and so you get a point right now for checking in.
Thank you, sir.
Anybody else for local check-in here? All right, we will start what do we say? We will commence to begin. The Old Tube Radio Network. 00 is, of course, Gary is out there in Sacramento. He is probably at the beverage counter and has stopped by the snack bar and is ready for the program. He's checking in, doing some maintenance in the green room. Excuse the noise. He took a soda out of the fridge and put a quarter in the boot. Well, that's right. We have everything at the Old Tube Radio Network here is as if it were 1965 or 62. So I think you can get a penny deposit when you bring the bottle back on the soda. And we've got plenty of 5-cent Abba Zabbas and Tootsie Rolls and Snickers bars. And remember that? You can take 25 cents. And you could walk away with a handful of stuff. Thanks, Gary. Got you checked in. I guess I should get my chart going here. 00 is in SWL number 1, who I'm sure had a lot of that nickel candy in the day. SWL number 2, Mr. OBP. Say hello to Kevin on the video chat, saying that we've had some good conditions. The worldwide DX map, let me pull it up. There's contests going on right now, and there were some openings on 6 meters. Oh, that's not good. There was some openings on 6 meters and elsewhere. Let's see, is this still on? That's not on. Well, we'll come back to that later. And it's typically because there are stations out and about that are stirring up the airwaves, stirring up the ether by putting out big, giant signals. So I don't know why I can't get my my map here tonight, but we'll try that a little bit later. So we will see what goes on with that. SWL number 3. SWL number 5. Is Rainmaker out there on the list tonight? Let me know if you're there, Levon, and we will get you checked in. Over to shortwave listener number 7. Might be poker night, so I will get 7 a proxy check in, but I have a feeling he might be back in time. SWL 10 and 30. Chrissy, good to have you back. Hope you're feeling well. I'm sure you are catching up on all the things that you do, and one of those is gracing the airwaves here with the during the old Tube Radio Network and the Dolphins. All of them are jumping tonight, and they're jumping up high, so that's a good thing. Over to 11 and 12. If someone said Fresno, then someone definitely said 11 and 12. Mr. Cornbread and Dapper Dan. Dapper Dan, I'm out for you tonight. I am dressed up. We've got the seersucker suit. We pressed the tie. The collar has the modicum amount of starch or whatever it needs. The pocket protector is adjusted, and we are feeling good. So thanks for joining us tonight. Levon, I see you. Got the X in the square for number 5. I will make it official. 11 and 12 is in. How about shortwave listener 13, who often checks in over at oldtuberadio.net? There's a way to do that. You may have to have a way to log in on a Facebook account or something, but you can leave on the comments that you are checking in, and there he is. Just moments ago, Mr. Cobra, and he should be beaconing. Do I have the beacon up? Let me see. Let me see if I'll expand out. Yeah, the Yankee Tango Golf repeater is up there beaconing. If you go north of that, you will see the Golf Foxtrot Delta little beacon as well. So you are looking good tonight. Thank you, Mike, for joining us. Let's go out to Sangertown, SWL 14. See if Sean is... my noise level is really quiet. I had to go and check to see that the antenna didn't blow down during the storm, but I'm hearing everybody quite nicely. So it is all good. SWL 15 all the way around the earth and back again. SWL 15 Hans is there, and I forgot to mention last week. Was it, and I don't know exactly when it took place, but there was, I think here in the States we have Queen Mary the ship, and then there's another Queen Mary, but I think you guys out there in Denmark, didn't you also get a new Queen Mary? So see, I wonder if she gets on the two-way radio. I don't know. But anyway, got you checked in, and as always, thanks for getting up Some people stay up late. Some people get up early to join us here on the Old Tube Radio Network. So thanks for that. SWL 16, Charlie is here. Thank you for getting all the various pieces and parts. The control room looks good tonight. And so that is good. He says there's something in the... Yeah, there is something in the camera. What is in the camera? What is that? Is that better? No, it's not better. It was a dangling... Something was dangling over there. Okay, now... I didn't notice that before. You've got to have the watchful eyes of the OTR crew here tonight, so thanks for that. He says, put your S meter on. There you go. We will do that. Thank you. Thank you, Charles. SWL 17. He says, my pleasure. Well, certainly. When I look good, you look good. Or maybe it's the other way around. I don't know how they do it here on the Old Tube Radio Network. SWL 17. SWL 18. I will get Mikey, Mr. KDA, checked in from the Facebook side. SWL 19. All the way from Derby, New York, Belfast, Maine. The guy gets around. I think he's got a frequent flyer pass on one of those fancy airlines. Thank you for the cue cards tonight. They are looking good as always. Over to SWL 20.
Number 20 here. Please check me in 29 and 54, and I'll catch you later on.
All right, boy, you're sounding loud tonight. So the rain has definitely washed all of the static off your antenna. Sounding good.
Is that a way of saying I'm just all wet?
Well, you're not washed up yet. I think we got a couple of radios to go. You even got people commenting about your screaming eagle, which is definitely screaming tonight. We'll catch you in a little bit. Okay, X in the square for 20, and let's see. From Muffle Bucket University, one of my alums, out when we were just wet behind the ears. Or actually, it was dripping from the behind the ears of the Muffle Bucket University, where we learned how to articulate, and as they say on the radio, have great diction. Brian is listening in tonight, and he is waiting for the jingle singers. Are they ready? You know, we usually don't do the jingle singers early, but it's a good way to check the microphonium, and it's something that we learned at Muffle Bucket University, that you are supposed to take the microphone out of the little case. It actually sounds better that way. They are ready. All right, hang on. Here we go. Are they ready? Yeah, tell them to go.
How do you do? Ladies and gentlemen, greetings to you. Wherever you are, your favorite slot on the dial by far is known to you as
OTR, the Old Tube Radio Network.
the station for you is
OTR.
Perfect. All right, perfectly tuned. And as we used to say, less muffle and more bucket. So, jingle singers, you are clear until we check in the tube radios. Thanks for that. They are always so helpful most of the time. Let's go over. You can hear me stepping on that foot switch here. It's just going to break into pieces at some point, but until it does, I'm good. SWL 21, Mr. JT of Old Radio Night fame, checking in. I'm not sure he was. There were some, and it was a little disappointing. I know he had some, I won't call it technical difficulties, but it's those non-technical difficulties. And in doing this for 30-something years, I know how that can be, and it's frustrating, especially when you are geared up to present the program out. But I did like the Olson sideband radio. I'm trying to think if I have a picture of your item out there tonight. Is it on? Because that is I think that is that, see, I don't know why, when I go to, okay, I'm going to fix this. We're going to do a on the air fixing. And I should be seeing, were I to be seeing, I should be seeing all radio night. So we do that, and we do that. There it is. Okay. That's what I'm looking for right there. The dual meter Olsen sidebander, which is basically a Regency Imperial without the sideband, but yet they call it an Olsen sidebander, and that is the original. I'm going to say that's the original style microphone that Regency did, but I don't know about that weird kind of coral color. You'll have to tell us about that. What's going on with that? But a pretty cool radio. So. Sorry we couldn't get on as much as you wanted tonight, but we will look for you next week out there at Old Radio Night. Oh, and now they're saying the rope. Hold on. It says pull the rope. Now, why am I... Do we have a rope? All right, hold on. Let me find... Hang on. I got to put on this right here and go over to the rope. All right. Here we go. And I got to be careful as to not break stuff. What is this? Oh, this is first it was Feed the Fish, and now tonight it is the official Old Radio Night T-shirt. That's pretty cool, with the logo on the back. I don't know if these are these available. It'd be pretty cool. That is the Courier Royale on the back. Live on YouTube. All right, very good. So up we go. I love our props department here on the Old Tube Radio Network. I wish they could figure out how to get me a new suit. I'll be right back. The Old Tube Radio Network. All right, I'm back. I don't want to break anything more than broken already. Let's see. Yeah, GWD Labs. And there's it's a cool shirt. Talk to JT. I don't know if that's a one-up thing or if they are available for dining and dancing pleasure. From the Big Island, JB, hello to you. We missed you guys at about 4:30. All the Australian and Hawaiian skip went out tonight. Radio Randy is in. Let me go ahead and get Randy an early check-in, number 99, with we have 0 conditions. I went to the DX chart earlier and it didn't work. Let me see if it's going to work now. Yes, it is there. And you know what's happening? There's 6 meters is opening because there's the VHF contest going on. So the guys are forcing the band open. But here on 11, we are not doing so well. So Mr. Randy, Tango Victor, we've got you checked in, and if conditions permit, we'll send a courier out there to get you on, because we have talked with Randy before. Directed net roll call is what we're doing. Real radios will be coming up. The tube radios from 1958 to 1978, glow in the dark stuff. You know all about it. Let's see if Tyler's around. SWL 22. I'll see if we got Alaska up on the board here. In fact, 2 is on the board. In the balcony tonight, hello to San Jose, Seattle, Washington. I was in your fine town for the first time ever this year. Actually had a good time peeking down on people from the Space Needle and doing all sorts of good stuff. Baldwinsville, New York. Buffalo, New York. New York is in tonight. Middletown, Ohio. Kerman, Fresno, Newcastle, Virginia. Plymouth, Minnesota. Copenhagen, that's Hans, of course. Paradise, California. San Bernardino. Belfast, unknown. The unknown SWL. You'll see them. They're running around with a bag on their head and a little rubber ducky. And it says something about, on the back, 11111, I noticed. So say hello to that unknown SWL. 23 Skidoo, SWL 23.
Break OTR.
The break OTR, go ahead, sir, over.
Good evening, Dennis. I want to check in early. You got 53, Bel Air the Legend, checking in there.
All right, easy to do by doing what you just did, and then I click on my item of interest, and the lights go on, the lights go off, and 53 is checked in. Thanks.
Thank you very much. Have a good night.
All right, and Tony, I hear you about headache listening to 80 meters. There's two types of headache. There's a headaches that you can cure by turning your RF gain, adjusting your RF gain to get rid of the noise level, and then there's the headaches of tuning those to those particular frequencies, right? On 75. Let's go to SWL24 has checked in, and I'm going to get a proxy check in for SWL25, or actually a real check in. He said he needed to. He's going to be out with the band for the next couple of weeks. So, Jerry, if you're watching the replay, you are checked in. Then we go to SWL27. I thought Dwayne might be out in the 2 meter. He might be on the VHF contest. In fact, I've got it adjusted. If people are using that frequency for contesting, that's fine. I'll just turn the volume down. SWL28, Gary checked in as 00, and I see you picked up another, is that a Bubble Up? A Nesbitt's Lime Soda? Hey, they're only a nickel. Just make sure, a dime rather, just make sure you turn the bottles back to get your deposit back. Did I see 11 and 12? Yeah, Dapper Jan. Feeling dapper, looking dapper, as am I tonight. So, if you need dapperness, this is the place to be here, the Old Tube Radio Network. I've got a proxy check-in for Mr. Loner, SWL29, and of course, Dwayne, SWL30, with no conditions. What's the weather like for you? Depending on where you are in Idaho, if you're Coeur d'Alene, it's -4. If you're in Boise, it's 25, and there's still snow on the ground, and I don't know exactly where you guys are and what altitude is. I guess it's altitude plus what part of that Gulf Stream you are in, if you are getting the super inclement weather. But hopefully we will get some conditions tonight and get you guys checked in. Let's go to SWL31. SWL32. Shortwave listener 33, Bozo Control, and the group here, the gang here at the Old Tube Radio Network. SWL34, Mr. Railroader and purveyor of many things, Facebook, whether it's on locomotive things or radio things. Jimmy does a good job. I don't know how he does it, but he does, and we are glad that he does. From Cheyenne, Wyoming, let me check up over at oldtuberadio.net and see if Mr. Bill and Red Monkey Communications are out there tonight. I will get them checked in. Hopefully he's not frozen in. Sometimes Cheyenne can get those -degree temperatures. If you're watching Bill or listening, if you've got internet or whatever, we've got you checked in, so stay warm. Let's go to SWL36. SWL37.
SWL37 here, Dennis, and good evening time to you.
Good evening time to you. That is a CB greeting if ever there was one. So the evening is doing well. Hope you can say the same thing. We've got you checked in.
Thank you very much.
SWL38. I always listen. I never know what, maybe Sam has concocted some quad stacked moonrakers and has it pointing down towards the valley here. Sam will get you checked in. Over to SWL39. Oh, Dwayne. Okay, yeah, Dwayne, you're up there in the cold spot then. All right, and Sam, we've got you checked in. I want to say hello to 007 Extreme CB. He's freezing. Checking in at 18 degrees. Can you hear that? There is some type of very large aviary device. That guy right there, 27.0825. 27025 extremecb.com. Where's the duck? Did someone steal my, no, they didn't. Here it is. The home of the Mud Duck. Or maybe that's Don't Be a Mud Duck. Don't do as I do. Do as I say, not as I do. Something like that. I don't know what that is. But anyway, stay warm out there. The best place to stay warm is tune in the Old Tube Radio Network. If you go to oldtuberadio.net, there is a glowing 6L6. Just put your hands up to the screen, to the display screen, and you will be happy. Let's go to SWL 40. Larry was around. I think he was participating in the parade going on downstairs out in the street. So, Larry, I've got you checked in. Mr. Road Dog 507, SWL 41 is in tonight. Of course, Tri-County React. Remember the days of the React, when you could go to Channel 9 and absolutely get help. Well, thanks to the Tri-County React in the Hudson Valley of New York, you can still do that. Good evening, and stay warm. Thank you, 507. Richard, while you're here and I see you, let me get Wild Wildemar checked in, SWL 78, in case you have to, like Elvis, exit the building. I haven't been radioactive all that much, but look forward to catching you again on 40 meters. Directed net roll call, SWL 42. Shortwave listener 43. SWL 44. And I actually do believe I heard Mr. 360 on the airwaves, SWL 360, 44. Ray, I've got you checked in. Thanks for taking a transmission. And hello to Peter, 428 and the gang up in Squamish. We will try and see. It looks like we have the uplink. It's come up tonight, so whether it's working or not a little bit later, we'll see what happens. We'll see if we can't get the great audio up from the Squamish boys tonight at the end of the net. That's always a treat to hear the great AM signals up there, where it's even quieter than it is here in the Central Valley. Let's see, Gary's saying he's been on Channel 1 FM. That's something I haven't done. And FM is you can do the FM now. You can talk over 150 miles. You can do FM on the channel. Was that the channel to do it? Is there a special FM channel? Made a lot of contacts. 3 from California. All right, we'll have to go down there and go to my frequency modulated mode and see what's going on. So thanks for that info. Thanks for that info, Gary. Over to SWL 45. Paul and Kelly, if you are listening, watching the video, you are checked in. Hopefully you are staying warm up there. And we are looking forward to you guys getting the radios back up and running. SWL, where are we at? Who did I just check in? 45, SWL 46. SWL 47.
Good evening to all from the Radio Lounge. This is SWL 47.
From the Radio Lounge, I can hear the fireplace roaring, the crackle of the flames, and the glow of the tubes. You are sounding good.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks for checking in. Just a reminder, we're on the directed net roll call. You don't have to have any numbers or be on any list to come by and say hello, whether it's on the video or at oldtuberadio.net, or just take a transmission over the air. We're glad to have you along. We will be talking to and displaying the classic tube radios from 1958 to 1978 coming up after the roll call. Our local collectors do a good job of making some radio real estate to share the radios with you, and we will do that. My name is Dennis. I'm one of the many net controllers on the Old Tube Radio Network that we have been doing most every Saturday at 8 p.m. Pacific time, whether it's daylight saving time or regular time, since around the mid-1980s. I tell you true. Over to SWL 48. I will get Sam checked in. Boy, I missed the Wednesday night net. I missed the Friday night net. I've been working. I've been working too much. SWL 49. Someone said to get a proxy for Smitty and Sweet Country Mama. I will do that. SWL 50. Somewhere near Sangertown, SWL 51.
SWL 51 checking in.
Sounding good. Coming down, Academy Avenue and around the corner. Coming down 180. You're doing a good job here in Midtown tonight. Thank you. SWL 52 checked in the crossband. He is doing the VHF contest, and he was doing pretty good. He had a lot of contacts. I gave him a contact. I think Harvey gave him a contact on the VHF. So what is that? 2 meters, 220, 440, 6, and up and up. If you've got the right type of antennas and you can beam. I worked a contest one time where we were running 10 gig. We had to have these dishes in a line of sight and driving around, and that is a chore, trying to match up, steering your microwave dish to get that contact. But it's fun. You just gotta be careful when you're working with the microwave. SWL 53, Mr. Belair checked in moments ago. Over to page 3. And we've got a check-in for Mr. Birdjammer 54. Let's go up the hill, SWL 55.
55 checking in.
55 checking in. M&M sounding good tonight.
Thank you, Dennis.
Get there. And Tony, the 736R, you can't see it. It is off the screen, or can you? I think the camera, it is right there in the rack, my 736R with the 2 meter, 220, and the 440, and I haven't had it on in a while. So I don't even know if it will come up. I don't think I have the antennas. I had them somewhere else, but it is there in hopes that it will illuminate when I turn on the power switch. A great radio. I think that Yaesu was one of the first ones to kind of combine everything with the modules. And it was the sort of VHF contest radio for a long time. You had to add, if you wanted to add the transverters and some extra power, and then there was the 2000 that had the, but that's back. That's what, 80s technology, the 736R? That was the clone of the 767. The 726, or 727 was the FT102, which I have right here behind me. So yeah, good stuff. Where am I at? Page 3. We are on page 3. Phil checked in. Let's try Mr. Brown Dog Audio out there in central Kentucky, SWL 57. And was BDA in earlier? I'm not sure. I wanted to say hello. 1989, thanks. He's got the Rolodex. He's got the Brown. There's Brown Dog Audio checking in from a still frozen central Kentucky. But don't you worry, the high-frequency RF waves are keeping the ice and snow at bay. I just point them at the ice drifts in a chilly 73s. That's the not 73s Celsius for sure. Maybe a minus 73 to all in a great weekend. I say likewise to that comment. Putting the X in the square. Who else was saying hello to Big Rich 6520? Good evening, Old Tube Radio.network. It's a solid 8 degrees in West Virginia. So see, Big Rich keeps the crowd warm by getting up into on the stage in the big microphonium and singing. And that will warm me up. It doesn't matter if it's 8 degrees or whatever. I was listening to some of the video. Good stuff. Put on the headphones and got inspired. Thanks, Big Rich 6520 for your musical endeavors. Let's go over to SWL 58. Should I proxy in Jeremy? I will. We'll talk to Ron, see what he's up to. SWL 59, Uncle Hairball with an X in the square. When I didn't get a chance to, when ORN is abbreviated, all of the old radio night celebrities sort of have to head out to the bar, and then they come back into the old Tube Radio Network. They kind of stagger in.
Break OTR.
The break OTR, go ahead, over.
40 checking in late, but never, or better, never than late. I forgot what I was going to say.
Better ever than never. Yeah, I figured you might have been down street side joining the parade. Over.
I was parading with the mice in the basement.
Oh, all right. Well, a parade is a parade. You know what they used to say, I love a parade. Thanks for checking in. Okay, I want to say hello to a couple stations. Oh, Alex checked in earlier out there in Crown Point, Indiana. Former Fresno resident for 3 years. I don't know if, while you were here, if you were radioactive, if you were able to, if you were on 11 meters, if you listened into the old tube radio network. I mean, we have people that come back to Fresno 20 or 30 years and they say, wait a minute, are you guys still doing that? And it's like, yes, we are. Mutual Observation wanting us to fire up the high gain. I wish I had a high gain to fire up. Working on getting the antenna up in the air. Foxman 362, looking good tonight on the old tube radio network. Thanks for joining us as always. And did I say hello to GWD Labs? I think I did. Usually when I do that, we do a quick check of the blinky lights. The 532 looks pretty good. Let me put the compeller in light up mode. Let's see, I have to press a certain button. I think that's the one. We get a little more lights on that. All right, cool there. The M1, checking the input, and if I talk loud enough, yeah, see that extra light there? Where is it? That's the compressor doing its job right there, but normally we don't need that. So all the lights are good deal. And directing that roll call, I was about to turn the page. And when I did, I bet Joe ran to the microphone and he said, well, wait a minute. Here we go, SWL 60.
Dennis, you are here in the old chair. We just came back to it, took a break. 49ers are in the playoffs. They got another game. If they're lucky, might get the Super Bowl this year. We're going to say evening time to you and all the fellas out there. SWL 60 checking in.
And 60, you're sounding good. Thanks for joining us, and I'm glad that there is some football action, and hopefully it is going the right way. Thanks for checking in.
Thank you, Dennis.
And GW, the rack sounds good in the Audio Technica headphones. Yeah, I've got a new kind of mix going on. I'm trying not to get trying to get rid of the room noise, you know. But the main thing is, I always like it. I say this a lot, but I go back and watch the replay, and I listen, and the radios checking in sound better than I do. You can have $10,000 worth of audio equipment, but you've got that great old tube radio sound coming through the speakers here. You will always surpass the trickery of digi-widgy audio. Peter in from Squamish. Who else is Douglas? 333, the 333. I'm the double three. I'm SWL 33, so we got 333 in tonight. Thank you, Doug. JB, we said hello radio out there to the Big Island. Oh, Gary, what did you do? It did something wild today. It ran his Xiegu G90 on 40 meter AM and got a good report. I've talked to some people on the Xiegu, 5.5 and 5.9. I don't know. Were you running barefoot? Did you run it through some amplification? I talked to John. I talked to Motormouth Mall, who is a ham, and I don't know if he was on a Xiegu. He was on something. He was on one of the SDR radios, and this was months and months ago. And I'm hoping he will get back on to 40 meter AM, because I want to tape it, and I want to have him say hello to the OTR crew. So the next time Motormouth Mall gets on 40 meters and I'm there, I'll grab it and we'll get him to say a little message to the crew here at the old tube radio network. All right, on with the roll call, or I will never get to the radios. Let's go to SWL 61.
SWL 61 checking in, Dennis.
All right, it warmed up a little bit today. It's not so bad, and you are sounding really good and really loud over.
Thank you, Dennis. Yeah, 62 degrees in the office, and the rest of the house is 78.
All right, as well it should be. We're doing okay here on the West Coast. Thanks.
Thanks, Dennis.
All right, 20 watts out on the G90. So yeah, AM is a different thing. I mean, 20 watts SSB sideband might be like 6 watts of AM, but it's good. I did some 10 meter AM last week. I talked to, speaking of AM, this was my at the beginning of the week. I talked to John, the guy up in North Dakota. I've been talking to that guy for 25 years. 10 meter AM. Heard Tim Chon, W6HGLR. I didn't talk to him, but he was coming in here to the West Coast. So AM is fun. 2900, 40 meter, 10 meter AM. We'll do some more AM. Get things set up. Maybe we'll set up a sked for the AM guys that want to do AM. Let's go to SWL 62. Shortwave listener 63. SWL 64. I did see the Wisconsin station. Adolf in earlier. Got the X in the square. Yeah, 7290. I think that's the East Coast. The 90 on 40 meters. 7290. Here it's 93. Usually you have guys on 93 or 95, and I've heard the guys on 7285, and of course on 75 meters it's 3885, and here on the West Coast it's 3870. The East Coast guys do a lot better on the AM for some reason than we do on the West Coast, but we have our nets here. It's good stuff. Let's go to SWL 65. I will get Mr. Marshmallow proxied in. SWL 66. Shortwave listener 67. I've got a note to get Bill checked in. Hope the internet is functional. SWL 68. SWL 69, Kenny was in earlier. I got Kenny checked in. Don't know if you're still watching. He said it was cold. He said it was really cold where he's at. He's in that dip of the Gulf Stream that's getting hammered. Oklahoma and Kansas, Nebraska, all getting hammered this week and last week. Over to SWL 70. And Tony, that's right, 50.40. It has been probably, I think it was the last 2 sunspot cycles I made a contact on 6 meter AM. I actually talked to the guy in 10 meter AM, and then later on in the day I caught him on 6 meter AM. And I can't remember the guy's call. It was a 9 call. He's got like 7 over 7 over 7 stacked beams on 10 meters. But that was kind of fun. So 5,400. I'll have to listen to that. There it goes again. I don't know if you heard that. You probably heard that. You listen to the headphones, that low frequency rumble. Something's going on around here. Let's go to SWL 71. And Stan is in. I also heard the VHF contest is going on. I also thought I heard a CQP contesting on one of the bands today, but I wasn't sure what a CQP was. But that was going on as well. So good day for contesting. I guess if you've got power and you can stay inside. Over to SWL 72. SWL 73. I will get John checked in. He's a big contester, and he was the guy. Remember I was telling you moments ago about doing the 10 gigahertz contact. It was with SWL 73 with John. He had some setups, and we did that. So, John, I'll get you checked in. I know you were out there trying to score some points. We've got a proxy check-in for Miss Julie, SWL 74. Let's see if Red Fox 1, SWL 76 is out and about. SWL 77 checked in earlier, and he said he was going to be back probably with a radio item of interest. SWL 78 from Wild Wildemar checked in. SWL 79 DC checked in. SWL 80. And I was going to pull the rope. They say, feed the fish? No, don't forget to feed the fish. Okay, I don't have to do that. you gotta know. If it wasn't for Bob and Steve, we wouldn't have any any fish at all. Page 4, SWL 81. SWL 82.
82 checking in from the ditch banks of Biola. Good evening.
Good evening, sir. Yeah, I worked late last night, so I didn't get a chance to stop by the Ditch Bank sideband net, which I'm assuming was on the airwaves last night.
Yes, it was. It was on last night, and had some different discussions on things, and kind of hung out after the net, and all went well.
All right. Well, no, I probably could have jumped in late. Got in really late and said hello radio, but you know how it is. You get home and there's all these things waiting for you in addition to what you're supposed to be doing. Well, that's good. Anyway, check out the Ditch Banks sideband net, and sometimes it is streamed like this net. Ditch Banks sideband net will be on the YouTube stream, but if not, you can join it locally at 36 lower sideband, 27365, I think is the number. And when the conditions are in, you can jump in on the visitor check-in section. Well, how were the conditions last night? Any skip?
No, we didn't have any, so kind of surprised that, if our time zone is just a little bit different, there might have been, but no skip conditions last night for us.
All right, well, just let's like this now. We roll with skip or with no skip, and we take them. Ron will take the check-ins as they come. Nothing ever phases him. He hasn't had a fire yet, but I'm sure he'll do just fine. Thanks for checking in.
All right, thanks, Dennis. Yeah, no fires yet.
See, and likewise, I haven't had a garage door opening yet, so I'm not sure if I'll handle that. I'm gonna ask you how you do that, but the fires I know what to do. All right, thanks for checking in. SWL 83. JZ is out there, out in Ohio, 83. I'll get a check in for Mr. JZ. SWL 84. We'll do the quadruple play. I was not unfortunate enough to see if Jerry was out doing the net on his glorious Swan radio, but we've got to check in for the Cheerios Kid, the Mountain Maid, Tandy Girl, and the Snowy Owl, looking for SWL 90. SWL 91. And Felix was in there earlier. I'm not sure. He's right there checking in, saying hello to all the shortwave listeners and old tube radio operators, and hopefully the weather is not too, I guess it's typical Bronx stuff where it can be good and can be bad, but it looks like you still have power to join us, and that is a good thing. SWL 93. SWL 95, Mr. Warthog 95, who is on my screen right there, checking in from Orlando, Florida, and saying good evening to all the radio operators and ships at sea. And unlike last week, I will not forget to collect $200 pass go and call for SWL 96. And I'll give Mr. Prunepecker an obligatory check-in, since I missed up on his number last week. I saw some pictures of the snow in Boston when I was there. When was I there? Long ago. It was October. It was before Halloween. So it was 50 and rainy a couple times. It was nice. It's a very enjoyable trip. And I know you guys are getting the snowbanks and things. So, Jim, we got you checked in. Thanks for staying up late and joining us. Oh, directed net roll call. The tubes are coming up. Do not go away. How about 98? Hello, Tracy. Are you in there? Over. Let me get a check in for 98. Tracy. Radio Randy checked in from, is it Cape Creek, Arizona? All right, we are going to try the Echo Link if it's still up. If I haven't if I haven't managed to break it. We'll see if I can't get an Echo link up with Tony. KD4BAO from KB6GFD. Oops, there we go. It doesn't work unless I unkey the transmitter.
Good evening, Dennis. Please check in SWL 100, back to net control, KD4BAO.
All right, sounding good. I was thinking I had tapped the space bar, and I looked and the TX bar was still wobbling around. So thanks for being patient. Stay warm. Hang out by the 6L6 or whatever tubes you might have. And we are about to activate tubes on the air, so stand by. 73, KB6GFD. Tony, as always, sounding good from McClellanville, South Carolina on the Echo link. Let's go up to Scranton, Arkansas. SWL 102, John is in. Thanks for joining us, and I will get you checked in. Says hello to all the shortwave listeners, tube radio operators, and those who may be joining us on a replay. Who knows when? Those videos stay up for a while. I thought they sort of like go off and get erased, but I look back and they are just going forever. So my apologies to the 0 and 1 bit buckets that have to store all that stuff. Let's go to SWL 103. Hello, Joey. Are you with us tonight? You always come by if the tube is lit and we're on the air. We'll get you checked in. So if you're not right at the roll call, no problem. Yeah, CB. The CB is the ultimate. That's like the party line from you know where during the day, huh? We are looking for SWL 109. Right, 109, Crawdad up in Auberry, looking down on the valley here. If you can, I think it's clear. When it's clear, seeing all the twinkly lights, and when it's not, enjoying the inversion layer above the fog. Thanks for checking in. SWL 110. SWL 111, Robert checked in over at oldtuberadio.net earlier, checking in. Says he's enjoying the rain. He put up a really nice picture showing he's out in Reedley, so it's a little bit flatter, and he's got a shot out to the Sierras and looking over, and the snow is on the mountains, and he got some flora and fauna in the front of the picture. Very nice. He always gives us some great photos of what is going on around us. SWL 113. SWL 114.
114, checking in.
114, Mr. Rick Shaw, thanks for joining us tonight on a Saturday evening, preparing for those tube radios. You're sounding good.
Thank you for doing the check-in for us.
My pleasure. Let's go all the way up to SWL 128. The guy that was an SWL long before there were digital S meters. Back when you sat in front of the Hallicrafters SX99 giant meter and watched it go up to 40 over or 60 over 9 and fooled with the AF and the RF controls. It's a fun thing. It's still fun to listen in. SWL 131. Shortwave listener 133. SWL 135.
There we go. Can you hear me now? Yes, SWL 135.
Yeah, I can hear you now. It's sort of worked its way up. Joe has a radio that does that. His EF Johnson sort of creeps up, and then the audio is full scale. You're sounding good. Good to have you back in the air chair. Glad we have some weather for radio-ness, and we'll probably catch you in just a few.
Yeah, it's not too bad out here tonight, except for the helicopters in the sky.
and explosions now, too. Okay, I'll be back with this thing. Yeah, thanks for giving me the time to let it key up. This is that one that does that. See ya.
Okay, yeah, I'm hearing him here. You can hear the low frequency rumble going through. Something is going on. I'll have to check. Is Bozo control? Is the Buick out there in the parking lot? Make sure Bozo's not doing anything bad. All right, you're sounding good. And yeah, it takes a little while to come up. When it comes up, you have full flavored audio. Thanks for checking in. Let's go to SWL 137. And there's Joey 103. I see you now. Sometimes it's a matter of a net controller that's going fast and an internet that's going slow. And there's John 128. Make it official, saying that where's John? He's in Virginia. 16 degrees this evening. Tuesday through Friday they got 7 inches of snow, unusual for this area. I think you guys are in that Arctic little dip that's going on. So hopefully, I've seen pictures of the ice loading on the beams, on the Step-IR monster beams, and hopefully you guys are not getting any elements breaking off from the snow and the sludge. Let's go, where are we going? Up the hill to Tony, SWL 145. And I will get Tony checked in. My schedule is not allowing me to get on the Friday night. Oh, here he is. Here he is. Yeah, I hear you on the crossband, just breaking through the squelch. Hopefully you can hear me, and I've got you checked in. Thanks, Tony. A great effort, as you always do. KB6GFD.
Thank you. I'll be sending you I got a new radio issue for you.
All right, it sounds good. I will be looking forward to that. '73 KB6 GFD.
73 AJ6 PD in the clear.
And Tony is up the hill. He's up the hill away, and he is right behind and in the middle of my tree. So I have to kind of shoot through a big camphor tree to get to Tony. All right, he's got a couple of questions. I will do this quickly. The questions here, and I haven't even looked at these yet. So it says, back in the days of AM, well, that's apropos, we're talking about AM earlier. Back in the days of AM, amateurs applied modulation to which element, well, I should know this, but I bet I don't, which element of a vacuum tube in the final amplifier to obtain the strongest audio punch? So back in the days of AM, amateurs applied modulation. Well, maybe they still do it if they're running boat anchors. To which element of a vacuum tube in the final amplifier to obtain the strongest audio punch? Well, I would say it would be the plate modulation. Is that what we all strive for? Plate modulation, and we'll come back to that answer. And number 2, the Heathkit HA10 was also known as the question mark. I thought it was a keyer. I have an HR10, which is a receiver, but I don't know. All right. Question number 1. The days of the AM, of course, you want to have that beautiful plate modulation. And a lot of the radios that we will be talking tonight do. The Brownings do, some of the Trams do. I think the Panasonic Robin, those chassis have plate modulation, and you can tell. And I think maybe the general radio telephones do as well. So good old plate modulation. There's screen modulation, all sorts of stuff. But you've got to have that plate modulation. Answer 2. The Heathkit HA10 was known as the Warrior. All right. I only have my Heathkit DX60B and the HR10 and the tuner. So Heathkit always had Comanches and Apaches and Mohawks and Warriors, and they were into that kind of stuff. All right, as always, Tony, thanks for that. SWL 147 and Neil. Did I get Neil checked in? Did he come by already? I didn't see him, but so I will just double check on that. And then we go over to Bobby Snowbeast, SWL 188.
Good evening time, Dennis. Good evening time to all SWLs. 188 checking in.
Went 88 checking in and checked in with an X in the square. We're in week 7 of this 8-week roster, and as always, you are sounding good.
10-4, thank you, sir.
All right, thank you. And Brian, you had the Warrior, weighed 100 pounds. Well, that's like the with the DX100. See, I'm not familiar with an HA10. Was that pre or post DX100? I've got a Hallicrafters HT37 that probably weighs about 70 or 80 pounds. I know the Johnson, Vikings and Valiants and Rangers weighed a bunch too. Made of copper. All right. Well, I'll look to see maybe in our radio picture. No, let me just quickly. I know they're giving me this thing. Let's speed it up. They give me the little thing, but I want to go to Heathkit because we have the Rolodex here. And I want to see if we have, it's probably just CB stuff, but we have what is it, HA10? Oh, look at this. HA10, the Warrior. Let's see if we got a picture. Oh, look at that. All right, here we go. The HA10 coming up. Oh, yeah. That's the size of a DX100, the size of a Warrior. Let me go to the close-up here. Now, they kept it simple, and you build these things. There it is. It's an amplifier. It's an amplifier, kilowatt linear amplifier. All right, see, I thought it was a transmitter. It's an amplifier. So, yeah, we got to get 1,000 watts. There's your load tune. We need one of these at the Old Tube Radio Network. I love those pilot lights. Those 2 lights down there. And those big, the silver switches, clunk. You're on the air. Plate and load, dip the grid, whatever you do. All right, well, there's the HA10. So anybody who's run the HA10, raise your hand. Anybody who can lift the HA10, raise your hand. All right, well, good stuff. So I've got to let me go up to Course Gold. I can't remember. Did Jim check in early? I don't think so. SWL 195.
195, checking in, Dennis. Thank you.
All right, thanks for being patient tonight. Eventually I get there. The crew is always giving me the speed up sign to get through, so that you don't have to wait till Sunday to get checked in. Thank you, Jim.
Thank you, Dennis. I'm enjoying it.
And over to SWL 226. And anybody else? Who did I miss? Who would like to get checked in or say hello, radio? Okay, I'm going to do that thing that I do to get ready for the tube radios. It takes a couple of minutes, and I will be back, and the tubes will be here, and you will have the real Old Tube Radio Network in just moments. Back in a bit. All right, I think we are up and running. Let's give it a shot here.
You may not find us on your TV, because in case you did not know, we're being brought to you by
OTR.
Brought to you by
27.085 megahertz.
Brought to you by RADI.
The Old Tube Radio Network.
The Old Tube Radio Network. You know, sometimes... Which way? Left? There we go. Sometimes it feels good to be on there. I want to pull the microphone down, but they said keep it up. They pointed it down, and I'm sounding okay, I think. Your Old Tube Radio Network. Let me clear a few things off the screen here. We will be checking in the tubes. The housekeeping. What am I doing here? We're going to turn on. They say turn on the radio behind you. Click. All right. No smoke. Get the pen tonight, which I have right here. They handed it to me at the break. We've done them before. Hoffman Easy Vision Television. From Hoffman Easy Vision Television. And they're at Western Radio and Television Supply Company. Let me put up on the Less Than Stellar camera here. That sometimes works. There it is. We need a light over here too, don't we? Hoffman Easy Vision Television. This is a nice pen. This is a very heavy-duty pen, thanks to the Hoffman people, Western Radio in San Diego. Well, how about that? It's Hoffman Easy Vision Television, Western Radio and Television City Supply Company at 1415 India Street. I can almost read this. San Diego 1. California. So how old is that? Brian, you're in San Diego. Have you ever been to the Hoffman place? Let me get back to the control room here. We are getting ready to check in the radio, so if you've got one and it's warming up, we will do that. I'm going to sign into the tube radio list. It is January 20th, 2024. And I wanted to make a comment because I saw Rob has been listening in for years. He's one of our better SWLs. He can often hear us in his location. Can we bring up the location picture for, where is it? I think it's right here. Yeah, here it is. Let me bring up the cool location, and it probably looks like this right now. Up there at, 8,000 feet, 9,000 feet? He says the 10-meter AM from the mountaintop has been pretty good. Heathkit DX100 transmitter and an R390A. Oh, man, that's the setup. On the vintage side, Johnson Messenger 2 that has some 10-meter crystals in it. We've talked about that before. They were able to do that. And need to see if it actually works. And it's tough to catch the West Coast on 10. Yeah, you got to have sporadic. You're right in the middle, because I talked to... and you're probably too close to him, but John up in North Dakota, and I'm blanking on his call, but I've been talking to him for 25 years. He has a pipeline down here. North Dakota has a pipeline. Colorado is good. 20 meters, I bet we could do. I can't remember what the AM frequency is on 20, and I heard 15 was open too. DX100 weighs about 100 pounds with the original cabinet. Just had to clean and jerk. My HT37 is down on the floor right over here, and I have no idea if I can put that up. When I redo the radio table, we'll get the 37 in there, and I don't know, maybe there'll be a 27085 crystal in there at some point. All right, we've got that. I want to say hello to Rob. I wanted to get the picture there. So without further ado, I will say this is the Old Tube Radio Network. We are standing by, listening for your radio check-ins.
135. Hello, 135.
All right, we'll take 135. Yeah, it fools you. You think you have no audio, and they turn everything up, and then you have audio, and you turn everything down. 135, stepping up into the air chair, and I'm very curious as to what an interesting radio is. That is, if you're tuning in for the first time ever to the Old Tube Radio Network, this coming up is an old tube radio. You ever had an old car? You had to kind of like tie the door on, or you had to tie the hood so it wouldn't flop up, or you got to pump the brakes. But it's an old car, and it looks cool, and it gets you there, and it's, you know, you've had it forever, and it's cheap, and you know how to fix it, or you know at least how to do some things on it. Classic tube radios. I think we've got one of those coming up. Hello, radio.
If the audio will just come in. Okay. Sorry, this is going to be like this. Every time I key it up, I've checked this radio in before, just not for a couple of years, I think. And yeah, it takes it a while to.
SDR stream is up.
Every time I key it up. Okay, so it is from
Great, thank you.
the Hammerland Manufacturing Company in New York, New York. This is the HQ105TR, Tango Romeo. Hotel Quebec, 105 Tango Romeo. How copy?
You copy good. You know, when I started hearing the audio, I had a feeling that it might be. I don't remember the Hammerland, the radio doing that. You know, the ramp up thing. But once I heard the audio with that super bass frequency going on, I said he might be on the Hammerland. We have not had a Hammerland in a while, so I am going to. Let's see. How can I do this? Okay, there it is. Now I can't go to the close-up, so let me go to full screen, because this is just the coolest radio. For anybody who's an SWL, this is the radio that you want, because it's a shortwave radio, and they secreted, I don't know, Hammerland, I don't know if they made transmitters or not for amateur, but they certainly did for 11 meters. They took one of their like HQ100 radios and they put a transmitter in it. Back to you. Larry says the stream is up, so while you take a transmission, I'm going to see if I can log into that, because I think it would be very interesting to find where that radio is and what it is doing. So anyway, back to you on the Hammerland. Over. On the Hammerland. Over.
Okay, we'll let her come up. Yeah, so once I start talking on it, it actually starts responding a little quicker each time. But yeah, I'm interested in seeing it too, because I know it starts low in frequency, and it slowly works its way up. I'm still 0846. I'm still pretty low in frequency. Okay. This thing, incidentally, you're a little over S9 on the meter, which is in the upper right-hand corner. And I'm using the S100 matching speaker. It's a 6x9 speaker in a square box. And you just sound super outstanding on this thing. Let's see, how about some specs here? It's a 0.54, it's 540 on your AM dial. All the way up to 30 megahertz continuous coverage. And then, like I say, while you're in the 10 through 30 band, you know, you can access the CB band there, of course. It has one and only one crystal-controlled transmit channel. So that's all you got. You know, whichever crystal you got, that's what you're going to be transmitting on. And it's a lot of fun trying to get that all lined up. And you know, one interesting thing about this is that there's no squelch. With all the stuff that's going on this radio, there is no squelch, which I had forgotten about. But, okay, back to you.
All right, and it's interesting you should mention that. So when you have an older, I'm trying to think if the older true shortwave receivers only had a squelch. Was that a CB thing? I don't remember if my SX99 had a squelch. You had an RF gain control, and some of them had sort of Q multipliers and crystal phasing filters. So maybe the squelch, because again, you're actually operating a shortwave listening or shortwave receiver with the transmitter in. So a squelch might not have been a thing on their original receiver, which obviously it wasn't. But I don't think it was that much of a thing on the old receivers anyway. It was more of a, your two-way talking. In theory, I guess if you're sitting in front of your shortwave receiver, you don't want to squelch. You're there, you're tuning in the world. At your CB radio, you're just like, I don't want to hear all these people. I only want to hear Unit 1 to let them know they're coming home with a loaf of bread. So just to reiterate what Cliff said, it's truly a shortwave receiver. You've got broadcast band up through 10 meters. 11 meters is in there as well. You have to be crystal controlled on the transmit, only one crystal. And I'm looking, did they give you a crystal control switch over for the receive, like they do on the other radios where you go RX and go to the crystal?
No. There is a relay in here. They didn't just stick a transceiver in here. The whole radio is used in transmit and receive through a relay, just like any other good old radio. So nothing special there. There is a switch. I can go from receive to transmit if I decide to use a regular. This one. Then it will do that for you. It's got selectivity and a Q multiplier and all that other good stuff, but no squelch. Very weird. And I'm glad you can hear me because this thing only puts out 1 watt. That's all I got here is 1 watt. It swings up to about 1.5 watts. Back to you.
Yeah, you're at S8. We had the meter up just a moment ago. S8 and goes forward to over S9 because it's got plenty of audio. Let me go back to the full screen. Also, we have the Larry Cam up, and very interesting. There's my signal coming in now. If you're watching, anybody watching the video, that coming straight line coming down the screen is me at 27085 in the audio, the upper side band and the lower side band. AM is upper and lower side band. Insert the carrier. And then there's the little Hammerlin that could. Yes, you probably start off 3 kC low, and it immediately ramps up. And it makes it to about 27,084.5, and then it wobbles a little bit as you talk. So what we're going to do is find out if it goes up in frequency or down in frequency. So the next time you key up, make a note here, you're going to give yourself a nice little hello radio or a 4 or something loud, maybe 4 like that. And we're going to listen and watch. We're going to listen to the tone and watch the screen to see if when you add modulation, it brings the carrier, or rather the frequency, up or down. So I'm going to leave it on the Larry Cam. Let's see, and there's audio too, but I think I'm hearing you. I'm going to leave it on the Larry Cam. Let's see, and there's audio. Yeah, that's the audio playback, but I think you're a lot weaker to Larry with your 1 watt than you are to me. So over to you. Give us a little chatter, and then try the loud audio test, and we'll see which way that transmitter moves when you talk. Over.
Okay. Yeah, it should have come in by now. I am fascinated to see this because I wonder if it ever does steady down, or if it just keeps wobbling. Does it ever settle down and stay on a steady frequency, or does it keep wibbling and wobbling? That's what I really want to see. But yeah, so there is a big ramp up from low, and then it comes up, right? And then starts wibbling and wobbling a bit. And you wanted some audio. Back to you.
All right, that was too cool. As you get more audio, and you can see it in the display screen there, the tone goes higher because I'm zero beating you, and the frequency goes down, and you can see the curve. It's almost like a little modulation meter. So as I said at the beginning, and I was not trying to be derogatory, but it's true. It's like an old car that you just get used to. It's like, the steering wheel has got a lot of play in it, and it's like, the turn signal, you turn left, it goes right. It's that kind of thing. It's endearing. This is the reason we love these tube radios. One, they look cool. I mean, who doesn't like this Hammarlund? And the HQ105TR, the TR I believe is the clock designator, but there is an HQ105. Is it the T? But it doesn't have the clock, and I don't know if there's one that actually had a speaker where the clock was or not. You've got the cool Hammarlund matching speaker, or a speaker that matches that style that goes with it. And the I didn't mention, but the shot that we're seeing, if you're at oldtuberadio.net watching the video, this is Cliff's radio. This is the radio on which he's speaking. I think you said the microphone was in the back, but anyway, I hate to ask, but does the clock work? It's not a battery, is it? It would be powered from the unit itself, but does it actually work? I would be surprised if it does.
Well, there we go. Well, then prepare to be surprised. It works actually very well. It's a 24-hour clock, and I set it this afternoon about, 4:30. The clock immediately begins to work when you plug it in. So you don't actually have to have the radio turned on for the clock to go. The clock is constantly going because there's a timer on there, too. You can actually program this thing with the little red needle, not the second hand, but the other red needle. You can program the thing to come on at a certain time so it'll be all warmed up when you come home from work. It talks about that in the manual. I'm not kidding. That's what it's for. So let's see. I've got 2126, just about 26 meters after 2100 hours. So is that pretty close? I don't have another clock with me, but I think it's keeping pretty good time. That's the Techron clock, and I don't know if you can see in my picture, there's a Hammarlund H off to the left side of that clock. But I think it's keeping pretty good time. 21 coming up to 27, just about. Yeah. So how accurate is that?
I think you are pretty accurate because my Micronta big digit clock here is showing 527 UTC, and I haven't calibrated it, but it's pretty close to WWV. So hey, with that radio there, easy enough. You click it to 5, 10, 15. Is it even 20? Anyway, probably right now 10 megahertz. You'd be able to calibrate your clock. Really cool stuff. I'm doing a little history for Hammarlund because there's another one of these companies that's been around for a century. The Hammarlund Manufacturing Company was founded by Oscar Hammarlund in New York City, New York, as you mentioned, was from New York. United States, of course, in 1910 when the company was dissolved in 1973. So we almost made it, with the old Tube Radio Network while they were still making Hammarlund. So 1910 to 1973, it was among the USA's very oldest producers of radio equipment, I would say, in 1910. The first Hammarlund plant was a loft operation engaged in radio component manufacturing on Fulton Street in Lower Manhattan, New York City. Their variable capacitor designs quickly became industry standards, and the component's schematic symbol was adopted as the company's logo. And that's what Cliff was referring to. Let me go to the close-up, and on that speaker, the circle with the Hammarlund H and the line going through it is what they are talking about. In the mid-1920s, Hammarlund formed a partnership called Hammarlund Roberts Company, specifically to offer kits for AM broadcast radios using Hammarlund parts. The company operated its major manufacturing facility in Mars Hill, North Carolina. All the North Carolina listeners get up and cheer, and that was in 1951. When Hammarlund Roberts went out of business, I wonder if the Roberts was the same Roberts that made tape recorders and things, audio tape recorders. When Hammerlin Roberts went out of business in 1931, Hammerlin Manufacturing Company Incorporated entered into the shortwave receiver market with the introduction of the Comet Pro, the first commercial shortwave receiver, super heterodyne style. Professional listening post installations made great use of the Comet Pro, and it was used also on many major exploration expeditions. So good history here. Over.
Yeah. Speaking of history, I've got the manual here and everything, and I can't find a date. I'm going to assume somewhere around 1962, but do you have any idea when this thing was made? Back to you.
I'm going to check my Rolodex, and I think it comes up with nothing. It doesn't even give a Sam's photo fax. The Comet Pro receivers, that was 1931. The Super Pro receivers, 1936. The SB600 Super Pro, that was their big one. That's 1947. The SB600 Hammerland with a range of 540 kilohertz to 54 megahertz. Well, Hammerland was most famous for his amateur shortwave receivers. This is the Super Pro, including the HQ100, 110, 120. I think what you have there is the HQ100. A number of transmitters were also produced. Well, there you go. These saw only limited use. That's what I was thinking. I don't remember a Hammerlin transmitter. Hammerlin also built a substantial quantity of the VHF FM Village radios for the United States Agency for International Development to be used in Vietnam, and transceivers for the citizen band radio market. Even as the company continued to produce communications equipment for amateur, commercial, and citizen band radio markets, it underwent frequent changes of ownership. The first was in the late 1950s when Hammerlin sold to, here we go, Telechrome. I bet your clock says something about Telechrome. Several years later, Telechrome sold out to Giannini Scientific. In the late 1960s, the company was once again sold to Electronic Assistance Corporation, EAC, but the sale was final. The product line was sold off in parts and phased out. The Cardwell Condenser Corporation, or as HLR would say, the Cardwell Condenser Corporation purchased all remaining stocks, and in 1973, the Hammerland factory closed. At the time of its dissolution, Hammerland was among the USA's very oldest producers of radio equipment. So the Telechrome, I think they made the clock in that radio, I bet. Over.
Well, there we go. Well, that's what it says on the clock. It says Telecron, C-H-R-O-N. I'm pronouncing that chron as in it's a chronometer. I don't know. That's what it says on the front of the clock in the lower left-hand segment of the clock, Telecron. So yeah, they made the clocks. Oh, and you know what? I completely forgot one important item I never usually forget. There are 11 tubes in this thing. And here we are on channel 11. Yeah, 11 tubes and plenty of waiting upon key-up. I wonder if Harvey's out there. He probably knows more about these things than I do. But I decided to bring out the big iron tonight. It's not actually too bad out here, just a little chilly. But at least it isn't booming down rain like they said it was going to. I was taking a big chance. So that's it from me. Thanks for letting me check it in. Like I say, I haven't checked this one in a couple of years. I checked in the 205 a couple of times, but I thought, it's about time to check this one in. What do you think?
Info.
I think you did good with that check-in, and yeah, Hammerland, like they said, made citizen band radios. They made some that looked like CB radios, and some that looked like their shortwave receivers, and some kind of in between, but very cool stuff. The info, go ahead.
The HQ105TR, the model with the clock, the TRS with the speaker instead of the clock, and it was advertised in July and September of 1961 in QST magazine. So, approximate date of manufacture.
Now that's a good information, and you were correct there, Cliff. 1962 would have been about right, and the HQ105 was produced before that. So another another thing is like we've got, like Hallicrafters is like we've got these boxes and parts. Why not stuff a CB radio in it? And they said we've got the receiver. Why not figure out how to put a little transmitter in there in 1961, 62 for that new Class D, and very bold of them for advertising in QST, which got Cubit and Swan in a little bit of trouble when they did that later on in the later half of the 1960s. Thank you, Harvey, and thank you, Cliff. Let's go back to the control room. Watch the replay, Cliff. The Larry Cam tells it true on how that transmitter is wobbling around, but you are within the FCC specs of 700 cycles, I do believe. It sounds great. And tell me the microphone you're using again, over.
Okay, this is your basic D104 amplified gray bass. Of course, I don't have my glasses on. It's either, I think it's a Tug 9, a TUG 9.
All right, good. It's got really good full fidelity audio. That is one of those radios I like to get my hands on, put it through the audio rack, add a little bit of high frequency punch to it, smooth out the low frequency, and I bet people would think you were over at KMJ. It almost sounds like that now. Radio number 1, spend a little extra time because there's some good history here with the manufacturer being one of the oldest radio manufacturers ever, right, in the U.S. A radio that I don't see it very often on the Facebook pages that these come up or sitting in somebody's shelf. It is the coveted version that has the Telechrome clock, although there was various versions, and it is sounding good. It is driving around the block quite nicely. He's not having to tie up the door handles with rope. I think this one is fully functional. That's the way it sounds. Thank you for jumping out into the cabana tonight, Cliff, and we appreciate radio number 1.
Cliffy?
Yeah.
The 205, 1969, early 69.
Wow, that's and yet they look so similar. I mean, the cases and the faces and everything look so much, so similar, and yet, yeah, it's almost a decade apart, huh?
Roger, okay, let's go, bye.
And Harvey, that's interesting. I know they said the company was sold about that time. I just wonder if that was something they were going to put out and they didn't. Or they had parts sitting around, and whoever bought it in 69 says, what are these things? Get them out of here. Why are they sitting around? And so in 1969, they sold them, and they said that company that bought them at that time was sort of phasing them out, up to 1973, or that last company. So I bet that had something to do with it. That last company that really couldn't care about keeping Hammerland around might have said, we've got these parts, make the radio. But in between, they had the radios that looked more like your classic CB radio. Speaking of classic CB radio, this is the Old Tube Radio Network. Real radio is glowing in the dark. There is plenty of time to get your glow-in-the-dark radio checked in. The jingle singers are right here, right now, to tell us all about it. We hope.
How do you do? Ladies and gentlemen, greetings to you. Wherever you are, the friendliest nation for you by far is known to all and
OTR, the Old Tube Radio Network.
the station for you is
OTR.
And we are listening for radio number 2.
Quick trivia.
This is your quick trivia frequency. Go ahead.
From Hammerland Roberts, How to Build a 5-Tube Receiver, 1925.
1925, 5-tube receiver, and I bet they weren't 6 AQ5s back then.
No, that little 5-tube receiver was probably as big as what Cliff is talking on.
And I don't know, the parts weren't expensive. Well, they were for that day. They weren't cheap, and you probably built it on a pine board or something. And if you see the older radios and the broadcast receivers back in the day, they had the really nice sort of wood cabinets with the giant knobs on them. So this is how to build it, and then you probably had to manufacture your own cabinet.
Well, if it was do it yourself, you had to cut down your own tree. Okay, see ya.
All right, well, there you go. Don't forget to build your radio, and don't forget to feed the fish, the Old Tube Radio Network. And what did I say? We are listening for radio number 2. We are trying to stay warm. The more tubes you got tonight, the more we can warm up our listeners in the negative degree territory out there.
Well, since I'm here, the Browning Golden Beagle.
All right, the Golden Beagle and Private Thor. I like that. Private Thor is actually, he's chopping down the tree now. There's going to be wood for everybody to build their radios. We were speaking earlier of the plate modulation, and I do believe that whatever your final transmitter tube is plate modulated. Is that correct?
Well, I looked it up, and the input of the modulation transformer is around the grid and the plate of the modulator tube. So that's in these radios. But then I happen to have Sam's Book 2 handy, so I flipped through that, and just about every single tube radio had the modulators tube set up the same way.
When you say every single radio, of Browning or like all radios?
All radios. All the ones like in Book 2, the RK Skyvox. Remember, I've got one of those. I looked at that. Excuse me. And sure enough, the input of the modulation transformer, you have the plate going to, let's say, the top of the transformer, and the voltage coming in at the bottom of the transformer, also linked to a grid. So it kind of is a grid to plate modulation. And kind of, I would say that it's plate modulated, but and then output of the modulation transformer to the final goes to the grid and then out the plate.
All right. Well, you're speaking radio talk again, but it does sound good, and it of course the Brownings have a distinctive audio. Put up the Larry Cam. That radio there just slightly low on frequency, but it's rock solid when it comes on, and it's got some nice loud wide audio. You are definitely in the 7 to 8K range on your peaks. I think that's probably standard with the Browning. And so the Beagle is woofing along pretty good. Over.
Low on frequency. What? 0.2?
I don't know. Let me bring the Larry Cam up here. There's me. There's your ping. Look at that. It goes out like 10K wide. We could figure that frequency. What is that, like 2K? Another 4K? There's your carrier. It's just a little bit low. It's just a little bit low, but not much. It's not right on the center line, but it's close.
Yeah, my free counter is a 0.2 lower than yours. And it shows 085 also. I leave it alone. You know, I don't want to get into it if I don't have to. Okay. Anyway, the custom D104 that you could buy with it. Somebody on Facebook, Tram Sonar Browning Radio thingy, about a day ago, posted a brochure advertising Browning accessories of which the gold D104, called the, I forget what they called it. This was the, I think, GD 104, even though it's not gold, but with the medallion on the back. So it was definitely, not aftermarket stuff. They sold it that way. I don't remember the price, but the speaker that they sold was $129.95, I think. I remember that price. But if you go on Facebook to the, Friends of Tram, Browning, Sonar, whatever, somewhere in there you'll find a brochure. It was posted a day or two ago. And you could see what the prices were way back when.
Way back when those prices were buy a used car and get the new Browning. It sounds good. It looks good. Yeah, I was using Larry's SDR as the freak counter, but not a problem. It sounds good. Back in the day, where you would put in the new shag carpet, put the little table up in the doily, and set your Browning Golden Eagle. This is the Mark None. This is the R68 T68, but the first Browning to have the golden designation in front of the Eagle. So thanks, Harvey. Want to say hello to who just came in up in the balcony? Liberty Lake. Glad you could join us again tonight. Germantown, Wisconsin. Who else is around? Sherlock Ohms is saying hello from northern Minnesota, where I'm sure it is certainly not very warm. So I hope you have your tube radios glowing in front of the Universal Media NetWeb device, the old Tube Radio Network. We are listening for radio number 3, but we do want to go to the Jingle Singers via their contract. I think they at least have to do 3 ditties in an evening. We'll be back in a second.
What are the magic numbers?
27.085 megahertz, channel 11.
Are the magic letters?
OTR.
Right here in
Fresno, California.
Radio Magic.
Old Tube Radio.
For you.
Radio Magic for you. We're listening for radio number 3. Hey, there he is, Sangertown, sounding very good into Midtown Fresno tonight. And I detect yet another item of interest from Browning Lab. So let me officially get you, if I find the right page here, checked in as SWL14. Over.
Yeah, thanks for getting me checked in there, Dennis. I got up real early this morning and decided to take a nap around 4 and then ended up waking up close to 9. So tonight I'd like to check in my Browning Golden Eagle Mark IV.
I know about those recovery naps. A nap is like 20 minutes. You typically have a 90-minute sleep cycle. So when you go through a 3-hour nap or something, it's like 2 sleep cycles. Your body is telling you, don't do that. Don't get up early like that so often. So anyway, now when it's time to go to sleep, you know what's going to happen. Browning Golden Eagle, you did say the Mark IV, over?
Yeah, that's correct. It's the Browning Golden Eagle Mark IV on the Silver Eagle amplified microphone.
All right, I'm looking for our standard Mark IV photo, so if someone is not familiar, watching for the first time or knowing outside, we just had a R68 T68. We'll go up another almost 10 years from that. In fact, about 10 years from that, and this was the final radio under the Eagle series produced by Browning. And it looked something like that, with the separate, as usual, the separate transmitter, separate receiver. They still kept the big S meters. You know what? This one, and I think we've discussed this before, the one I'm showing doesn't have an Eagle on the speaker, but I'm sure it's supposed to, right?
Yeah, that's correct. Mine has a nice little Eagle on it, and
Yeah, whether they had some extra ones sitting around or whatever. I was going to see if I could find one that... Oh, here, I think I've got one from... Who is this collection? This is... Oh... Wayne and Jessica. Wayne... Duger. Let me bring up that shot. You know, it's a whole collection. There it is. Perfect. There it is with the eagle in the center, the transmitter at the bottom, and looking good. I mean, you pay extra for that. When you walked out the door and $900 lighter in 1977, you wanted to make sure there was an eagle on that radio somewhere.
Yeah, that's for certain. I'm sure that was part of the allure to it. You know, the whole American factor and the golden eagle flying there on the...
Absolutely. All right, give me another transmission. I'm going to put the S-meter cam, see what Sanger is doing tonight on the S-meter.
Yeah, so hopefully I'm making a good trip out there. I was looking at the Larry cam and seeing exactly where I was at there on my frequency, and everything seems to be looking pretty good. So hopefully I'm making a good trip in the Fresno tonight and somewhat on frequency here, close.
Yeah, let's see. There's my stuff going. And yeah, you know, you are almost, I would say you're about where Harvey is on his Browning. It's just a slight bit low, but man, look at that audio. Again, it's 1, 2, 3, 4. Each sideband is about 4K wide. So you're a good 8K of width on the audio, so that's why it sounds good. Anybody listening on a receiver that's opened up, you know, listening at 5K, but you're listening, say you're listening on your Hammerland HQ105TR, which probably doesn't have much filtering at all. You're going to sound really good with that. Good Browning audio at 8K, almost rivaling the broadcast stations out there. It is sounding good. We're marking you down for Radio 3. And I'm glad that somebody tapped you on the shoulder and said, "It's the Old Tube Radio Network." Over.
Yeah, no kidding. Glad I woke up for it too, get the radio warmed up and make that trip. And yeah, that is kind of interesting. I see it is real wide on his thing, but I don't quite understand what I'm looking at. But it is a lot wider transmission on that image. But yeah, thanks for the time, Dennis, and hi to everybody out there.
All right, well, there's good wide and there's bad wide. There's like IMD wide, but the center line is your carrier, and off to the right is your, I wasn't saying this right, it's your upper sideband, and off to the left is your lower sideband. Then you double sideband, AM, put the carrier in, and there you go. So when you're talking sideband, you just clip out the carrier in one of the sidebands, and you take up half the space. But for fidelity, for a good old, as they say, good old yay-yum fidelity, get something like that, and you are good to go. The Browning Golden Eagle Mark IV SSB, I don't think they... The Mark IIIs, they made an AM version with the smaller transmitter. The Mark IV, they did not. The sideband was... You couldn't get an AM only. It had to be sideband, and that is it right there. From 19... Let me go back to the Rolodex here. From 1977, base price at just under $900. A lot of money back then. Thanks for checking it in. The Jingle Singers once again, and I think we have time for a couple more radios. Were they to be out there? Back in a second.
How do you do? Ladies and gentlemen, greetings to you. Wherever you are, the friendliest station for you by far is known to all as
OTR, the Old Tube Radio Network.
The station for you is
OTR.
Dennis?
This is the basic Dennis over.
I think what I was looking at was a page from the Greg House Browning Mark III Service and Restoration Manual, which I have around here somewhere, because there's the front page and then there's that inner page. let me get to it here. Come here. There we go. Come on. There we go. The Mark III linear that with the the matching face, the 180, and I think sold for $199.95 back around '72. No prices for 4 other mics: the Gold D104, the Mark IV desk mic, and the Banana mic. But the speaker was $129.95. There's a price for that, and the linear listed on there. But I think it's from Greg Howe's comprehensive service manual, which you can buy, I think, on eBay for $39.95, which for anybody with a Mark III must have. It's not that expensive. Gives you all kinds of information. The guy knows what he's talking about because I think so. Okay, back to you.
Greg, in fact, it's interesting you should say that. He made a comment today on one of the forums, and there was showing a page from the booklet from the restoration guide, and I think he said if you contact him directly, you can get it off eBay. He said $33, but it may be more by the time you ship it and everything. But he said if you contact him directly, that's Superloop S9 Greg. He frequents a lot of the CB Facebook page sites. If you can PM him and get a hold of him, he will send you, and I don't know if that includes shipping or not, but he said it's $30. He said that he'll save you the whatever commission that eBay takes. And like Harvey said, it is, one, you should probably have it in your library anyway. Even if you don't have a Browning, you might get one. And second, if you do have a Browning, and is it specifically, Harvey, is it specifically for the Mark III over?
Yes, specifically for the Mark III. Basically, if you want the Mark III, excuse me, to sound good on receive, less noise, static, etc., very good gain. I believe it tells you how to tune it. I'm not sure, but I think he does. But it tells you what audio tubes or what tubes to use in the receiver. And then if you want, assuming you have a decent microphone, sound as good as you can on transmit, he lets you know what tubes to get for the transmitter. Now, what's important to understand is he really knows his tubes, and he will say, okay, 12AX7 in the audio line in the transmitter, you should get a different manufactured one than the one he would say for the receiver. So it's good to have that manual. He lists, let's say, his first preference, then like a second and maybe a third, in case you can't find the best one. It's a very good manual to have. Lots of tips, a couple little modification areas in there if you want to do it, but it's a very, very good thing to have. Thank you, Dennis.
It is indeed, and I think I've found, let me go to the page here just so you can see the inside of it. And there it is. That is the manual. If you're out at the video, it's called the Browning Mark III Service Restoration Manual from Tech Professional, Troubleshooting Modifications, Tech Tips, Restoration, showing microphone cases. He's showing the 180, but that's just a snippet out of that, and that is from Greg, S9 Radio, and it is definitely still available. It's called there it is. Here's a better shot of it right there, as Harvey was talking about. A comprehensive look at the Browning Mark III Service Restoration Manual, kind of like inside, little cabinet off for the hometown grown service professional, troubleshooting modifications, tech tips, restoration accessories, Browning history, model identification, schematic diagrams, and more. So, and Greg occasionally joins us on the chat. We wait for that sporadic e-skip, which we never get to talk with him. I'm sure we would hear him. So next time he's on, we'll ask him about it and maybe get the insight if you'd like to get it, because he does have them available. All right, I'm talking too much. It's almost time for counting and mounting, but there is room for yet another radio. So I will jingle singers again. All right, jingle singers, and we'll stand by for some more radio items of interest on your Old Tube Radio Network.
Let's do some spelling.
OTR. 27.085 megahertz. Channel 11, Old Tube Radio. Old Tube Radio.
OTR listening?
Out here, probably most people were watching the 49er game. Or we're out at sports bars doing that and still haven't gotten home yet.
I do believe that Joe popped in quickly and said the game was on, so this is I don't know if this is a national conference, it's a pre-thing to the pre-thing to the big thing. So, yeah, that's, being a broadcast guy, I'm always cognizant of the competition on the other frequencies. And so I know sometimes it might be slow, but the true diehards, and even the guys, even the stations, the guys and the gals watching the game will pop into the radio room to say hello, radio, and we certainly appreciate that. Last call for radio check-ins before we do the counting and amounting on your Old Tube Radio Network. And who is it? Gary asking if anyone here has ever worked at nighttime skip. And I guess there are different types of nighttime skip. There's E layer and F layer and D layer and all that, and the sun goes away, and on certain frequencies the skip will go away. Then you get the tropospheric ducting and the E layer skip, like you would get on 11 meters and these frequencies here. Then there's some bands like 20 meters where if the sunspot cycle, you're going to have the band is going to be open 24 hours a day. And then you have 40 meters and 75 meters where you lose when the sun goes away. You lose you lose the other two E and F layers or something. Anyway, I'm saying this wrong, but the skip changes. There's skip all the time. There's DX conditions, but it goes from maybe from 0 to 300 miles to now 300 miles to 2,000 miles, and that'll be all night. So that's the nice thing. If you're thinking about getting your amateur radio license, there is all sorts of opportunities. When you find it's like, boy, I'd like to talk DX and 11 isn't happening, 11 meters isn't doing it, you can go down to one of the other frequencies where, because of how things work in propagation, there is nighttime skip. And then when you come up to 10 meters and look at little beacons saying, wait a minute, the band is open, you can come back up here and do the nighttime skip that way. So it's pretty cool. All right, any other radios that need to check in? Over. And then the jingle singers said,
You're tuned to
OTR. Channel 11.
right here in
Fresno, California.
Stay with us
Old Tube Radio.
and be modern.
yeah, who was that? DX off the Northern Lights. And then there's the meteor scatter, where it breaks a hole, pokes a hole in the ionosphere or the atmosphere, and you can get a quick contact. Speaking of quick contacts, I'm going to jump over to the uplink out there in Squamish, BC. We're going to listen into 27085. Let me me get it dialed in there. I'm going to go to the display coming up. And we'll see if our stations are, it takes a while listening in. See if we get some good DX. This will be a live radio from Squamish, BC area when they key up, or is it key down, and say hello to the Old Tube Radio Network. And 428. See if we can get some, Skip, if you guys are on the radio tonight, the Old Tube Radio Network listening. All right, well, I'll go ahead and we'll read the list. We'll go through the list here tonight, see what happened.
Ladies and gentlemen, time now for the current OTR totals.
If anything happened. The current and final totals, the Old Tube Radio Network tonight. Thanks for joining us. Had some good stuff here tonight. We had 19 check-ins on page 1, 18 on page 2. 19 on page 3 and 24 on page 4. That's from the directed net version of the roll call to give us 80 total. Of course, there were many of you out at oldtuberadio.net and over on the YouTube site as well, so good to have you in, and there may be some watching now at a later date. Saying hello radio. On radio, speaking of hello radio, back to the control room. Turn down the volume from those guys. And radios tonight, we managed to get a few between the football playoffs. Starting off with the Hammarlund HQ 105TR. Look for one of those. They're going to be hard to find, but they're well worth the effort if you have one. If you're a shortwave listener, got space for your long wire antenna, and a space for your CB antenna, and everything is somewhere in between. The Hammarlund HQ 105TR and a clock to wake you up, so you can talk to your favorite DX station, or maybe to wake you up when the DX happens. Thanks, Cliff. Always good to hear the Hammarlund. I know it's been a while, and it worked quite well. Once it got warmed up, the audio came right in. Radio number 2, the Browning Golden Beagle R68 T68, thanks Harvey for that. And then Sean Alisanger adding another Browning, making the Browning Laboratories the most heard manufacturer tonight with the Browning Golden Eagle Mark IV. Now, if you want to take a nap, it is okay with net control. Go do that. I remember taking naps back in the day when I'd be getting up at 3 o'clock in the morning to go to the TV station and take a nap before the net, and then try and be coherent all the way through. So thanks, everybody. We will check in with you later. The Old Tube Radio Network saying 73 from Central California.
Very good net tonight. Gee, I said that correctly.
It appears to be. All right, OTR. Back in the air chair. There's my microphone here. I wanted to... Let me bring down the receiver. Somebody mentioned about the nighttime skip, and I thought that was a good... I've spent a minute here to see if we actually have any nighttime skip. Let's go down to the first place that might have it, and that would be on 20 meters. So I'm going to check out on 20 meters. Let's see if I can find it. Are we on the right antenna? Yeah, I'm going to the section of the band that has the FT8. I don't hear any... I'm not hearing any big signals, so... Looks like 20 meters is not open tonight. Well, at least with my antenna. It's probably open somewhere, so that's 20. And I'm not even hearing WWV, so what am I doing wrong here? Just barely. Why is that? Okay. You know what? I think my antenna's not good. So we got some WWV activity at 10. Let me go back to 20. No, it's just like I'm not on the right receiver there. Interesting. Let's go to... Am I attenuated? Oh, let's go to that antenna. There we go. Here's 40 meters. See, there's the FT8. There's the nighttime skip.
Three, 5, 6, 8.
Okay, we had some contesters. We'll find out where they're from. Find out where the nighttime skip is going from Central California, where we're at. And there's Squamish.
Everybody listening out there, great show tonight, Dennis, 73s. And I'd like to wave a hand to everybody again out there. Take care, Dennis. I'll pass it back to Net Control, 73, sir. Keep up the good work.
All right, there you go. There's Squamish coming in. So that's not officially nighttime skip. That's a live and direct listening in from Squamish. And I lost the 40 meter now, so.
Good evening, Dennis. 428, the boys of Squamish. Like to check in by President Madison. Great show, like usual, Dennis. Keep up the good work. Like to wave a hand to everybody out there. And 73s to everybody, and to you, Dennis. I'll pass it back to Net Control.
All right. Good deal. We made it in on the uplink. And it's always looking really good on the audio there. Let me turn back up. 40 meters here. And I thought I would hear some of the contesters, but really, I might have to go out and check my antennas. I thought it would be. There's the broadcast station at 7285.
Seguramente Gennaro se lo ricorda Toto quando dice ole mas dice le donne la saponata se la fanno.
So we got some long distance.
Però non si fanno vedere da te. Hai capito, Fabrizio?
Doing some DX work. Man's not in too good a shape tonight. Of course, on 75 meters. Here's some AM carriers.
And just
don't put anything else in it. Like, I mixed a little veggie oil, and I think that might have been what did it. I think it might have...
There's some nighttime skip
Put a little gasoline in it.
on the
Some of
3906.
them actually say they can run on gasoline.
And that would be similar to what you get on your AM broadcast band, down the broadcast band, where the band, during the day, your local stations, at nighttime it spreads out and you go to 200, a couple of thousand miles. All right, good night, everybody. Good DX
It's basically motor oil and gasoline. No thanks.
This coming week.
So far so good on this thing. This thing is working just fine. Like I said, the things I've got online, the fuel line, they said it was going to be kinked on the bottom side, and it was. So all I did was fix that. And it is a crappy fuel line, so at some point I will change that. But for now, it works fine. Yeah, I don't know what the big deal is. It works fine.
Yeah, I paid like $129 for mine. It says like Z-Bang or something, Z-H-I-B-A-N-G. Kind of an interesting name. Anyway, mine came with good fuel lines. It didn't come with that other crap. But it was smelling funny, the first couple of days, and I thought, well, it just needs to, run a while, but the smell never went away. And I think what was happening was, until I took it apart, it was actually leaking.
Yeah, well, I bought mine, and then I also bought a 2-meter exhaust pipe with it.